Welcome to MCC Made, the official podcast of Metropolitan Community College, giving you a backstage pass to all things MCC with your hosts, Emma Frazier and Catherine Riggs. Is this a safe space?
I'd like to think so.
Okay. Jeopardy. I love Jeopardy.
Now I don't know if it's a safe space because I'm really worried about what you're going to say.
No, this is more about me than it is about Jeopardy.
Okay.
The format of Jeopardy and the answering with a question.
Right.
Great.
Right.
I love it.
We love it.
We love. Could not be on Jeopardy because I physically don't think I can do that. I think that would just throw me off because the answers I'm always like, I would never answer who is whoever in the way that they
say it.
Correct. And it throws me for a loop.
I'd like to think I would be okay on Jeopardy, but then I would go on the day the category was like Russian ballet and like 16th century, like
I could only
anything. I don't know. Like not my strong suits.
I think I could only go on like Celebrity Jeopardy words.
They are doing that pop culture Jeopardy, and you need a team of 3. And honest to God, I should have signed up for that. But
there's still time.
There is still time. You can take the anytime test. Although I don't know if that one has an anytime test. But
yeah. But anyway, love Jeopardy. I just think I'm too stupid to be on Jeopardy. Not even. The questions, yes, but also just the format of it just really.
It's like the speed.
It hurts my head.
Well, then they were talking about during one of the tournaments, like people who practiced ringing the buzzer. And I was like, that's very serious.
Oh, practice, like just like the speed of
one guy said he would take the thing you put the toilet paper on, like the roll, and he would take that out and use that as like the buzzer and like press it like a button.
Oh my God.
How he like trained his thumb for that, I don't know.
Also, that's why he's on Jeopardy. I would never think of using the toilet paper roll holder to like practice.
I was like, I don't know, like that's on a level.
I also think that if I did that, I'd get too good at pressing the button and not paying attention to what is actually
Well, then you do see people on there who are like have like trigger finger and just panic ring in, and then they're like, I don't have it, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I love Jeopardy. I just like even when we played it like for The Office, I was just like, to answer it in a question, you're asking a lot from me.
It's layers on layers. That's why it's
layers
tricky.
On layers. Well, because, oh my God, we did it for my cousin's bachelorette party, and some people were getting very competitive, which also I'm like,
they're always there.
It's like, this is a bachelorette party. Can we
Doesn't matter.
Relax?
Yep.
Can we just like relax? And like, if
everything's a challenge.
If you're not answering it in a question and you don't get the points, it's like, ma'am, it is 11 o'clock on a Friday night at a bachelorette party.
And I'm guessing people have had some cocktails at this point. So like, we gotta factor that in.
We're doing great just getting through the game, if we're being honest.
Yeah. So yeah, take it into consideration. Okay, my first pick, which is also it could be easily one of your picks, is for the week is Survivor. And if you're not watching Survivor, you need to be watching Survivor. The thing now that they didn't start doing for a long time was lying about what their job is.
Right.
There's no lawyers this season, I think, for the first time ever.
But I also love how they like everyone who's a lawyer. Unless they lie about being a lawyer.
They all lie about being lawyers
like,
because they're like, nobody trusts a lawyer immediately. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's, whatever. But I have been a faithful Survivor watcher since season 1. For most of it, took a break in college where I just was not routinely watching it, and then caught back up. And I was like, why did I ever go away? I love Survivor so much.
Yeah, no, I am new to this.
Basically because I made you watch it.
Which I'm pro.
Yes.
Survivor is one of those shows that I didn't watch because I did not watch because I didn't think I would like it. It was just like, it's like I watched so much.
Yeah.
I watched so much that I was just like, eh. But now that I have somebody to talk about it with, I'm all in.
It's so good. They can do it forever because there will always be people from different walks of life that when you throw them on an island with limited resources, they're all going to start acting out. Okay, we can move on to another one of mine, which I'm guessing is also yours, is Mudang.
Okay, Mudang.
Mudang is
the cutest thing that's ever happened.
the cutest thing that's ever happened. If you are not chronically online, as Emma and I are, there is a baby pygmy hippo. Her name is Mudang, and she is the
cutest.
The cutest.
Okay,
She is just either screaming or biting someone or just being real cute. If you are at your desk working right now, please Google it.
And if you're driving, get to your desk and then look it up.
And then look her up, and then you will not be able to stop staring at her. She is so cute.
She's either the queen of chaos,
Right.
or a napping queen.
Or like loafing.
And I relate to this.
I am Mudang. Mudang is me. So she is the moment. She is flourishing. We love her. I never want her to grow up. And then, okay, my third and final pick is as a movie buff, pop culture person, knower of stupid crap. I every day do, along with Wordle and all those things, I do Cinematrix.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. If you are even a remote movie buff, it's kind of fun. If you are way too into it, like I am, it's really fun. But you go to Google Cinematrix. It's on vulture.com if you need to go there to look at it. But it is like a grid, like a 3x3 grid. And they usually give you 3 actors. And then they give you 3 categories. And you have to like match them up. So it will be like movie that starts with the word the. Movie that came out between 2001 and 2009. And then like, I'm trying to think, musical was one time, and that was surprisingly hard. And then you have to find, for all 3 of those actors, you have to name a movie, a musical they were in, a movie that came out in that time period, a movie that starts with the, and they all, for the most part, have multiple answers. So if you know a lot of dumb crap, you can find the ones that have really low percentages, and then your score is higher. And if you are like me and do it every day and have friends that do it every day, you send the score and then just subtly brag by having the highest score. It is very fun. It takes, 3 minutes. If you're already doing Wordle and all of the and connections and strands, just add it to the list.
Yeah.
You're already sitting on your phone doing those. Just add that one on there. Cinematrix. It's fun.
Yeah. So I guess I'll piggyback my first pick onto that, which this is not a hot take, but
here it goes.
We love, no, it's not a hot take. Yeah. We're pro Wordle, connections, strands, etc. I recently have just started doing the normal crossword for the New York Times.
Yes. I have a friend that does it every day.
Yes. And I used to do crosswords all the time and then kind of fell off. And
Same.
then I came across on TikTok this woman who solves it like in real time on TikTok.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. And so I started watching her doing it and I'm like, oh, well, that's fun. So then now what I've been doing, and it's amazing how fast you start to pick up on stuff, but like, so I started doing it myself and then I'd go back and watch hers. Like if there was stuff that I just could not figure out.
Oh, okay.
If there's stuff I couldn't figure out. And then she like talks through her thought process and like how she got to like some of those like harder answers. And it is very fun.
That is fun. I used to do so many crosswords.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't do that one.
So like I even, not sponsored, but I even like bought the subscription to the New York Times games because I was like, because you can only do the mini for free.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll pay the New York Times, I guess, to do the crossword.
I think you can only do a version of Spelling Bee for free too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one gets me like upset. I don't like Spelling Bee.
But yeah,
And half the time I don't do strands because I get mad. It's like if I don't get it right away, I'm like, I'm going to come back. And then I never do because I just get annoyed.
Yeah. Okay. With my pick, my hot take on New York Times games is I get really annoyed when people get mad at connections because they're like, but this is also a connection. It's like the game is to get four.
Is to trick you.
Yeah. The game is to get 4 connections with these words.
Right.
Like it is a game.
Like yeah, I fall for the trap, but then I'm like, good, that was tricky because you got me.
Right.
You laid the trap and I walked right into it.
I just get so annoyed when people get so upset about that. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like it is hard. It's supposed to be kind of hard.
Yeah, it's a brain game. Like, what do you not understand?
I don't know.
Anyway, that's my one of my picks and a bonus
and
hot
with
take.
a bonus hot take that yes.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Yes. All right. We would like to welcome Hannah Bolte. Hannah Bolte is the Director of People Communications and Marketing at Logier, a local company. Welcome, Hannah. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I just will kind of open the floor to you to kind of explain what Logier is for people who are unfamiliar with it. And then we'll get into the partnership between Logier and the college.
Yeah, so Logier is a company that you interact with every day, but you never know it. So we make shelving fixtures that you'll see in any convenience store, any grocery store, retail store, warehouse. You're not paying attention to what the product you're buying is sitting on, but we made that product. We made the shelving, store shelving, checkout counters, self-checkout counters, and then the warehouse racking. So the metal racking in a warehouse as well. Logier has been around for nearly 70 years, headquartered here in Omaha, Nebraska. A really big fixture in the community here. There's a lot of philanthropic work that the company does. So you may have seen our name around town. Yes. Different areas, but we do retail shelving, so metal shelving and checkout counters. The philanthropic part is the more recognizable thing, but we're doing a lot of work in the manufacturing branding space to brand us as an employer as well.
Yeah, it was actually shockingly familiar with Logier before starting at the college because I used to work at Baumgars, and so we had Logier reps that would come and like help like with our shelving if we needed new shelving or different shelving. And so when I started at the college a few years ago and I saw that, we were partnered with Logier for our sponsorship programs, we're like, oh my God, that's actually somebody that I am familiar with. So can you just tell us about the kind of the partnership between the college, MCC, and Logier and our sponsorship program and how that all works? Sure.
So in my role at Logier, I have a scope that encompasses a lot of things, including community partnerships. It also incorporates people. So how are we developing our people? How are we upskilling, reskilling our people, and really investing in them for the future of them, but also for the future of the company? So Logier has, for many, many decades, partnered with MCC to upskill and reskill our workforce, meaning maybe we have somebody come in an entry-level job in our manufacturing plant, no experience required. They learn that job, but they really want to get into something that's more skilled trades. And that's something that you can get on the job training for, and we do provide. But we also want that third party of more formal education, hands-on education at MCC. So the company is partnered with MCC for many decades on things like that. I would say that was really amplified when the skilled trades workforce started to retire faster than those roles could be replenished. So about 11, 12 years ago, MCC and Logier started working together on what we call a sponsorship for the trades program. And a lot of companies do this in different ways. So to my understanding, and you can correct me, I think Logier does theirs quite differently than other organizations. So we had been sending people to MCC for upskilling, reskilling, different classes, certifications for far, far longer than we called anything a sponsorship. So for us, a sponsorship is we wanted to equate a career in the trades to signing to a college sport. it's that same level of success. When we're talking about how do you rebrand manufacturing to be a really cool thing for that next generation, it needs to be celebrated on the same level every other form of success for a high school senior is celebrated. So when we partnered with MCC, we went to them and said, these are the skill sets that we're going to need for these 2 different tracks. Like, these are our gaps. And we want to take a graduating high school senior and create like a literal signing day, celebrate them. We're going to pay for their school. MCC sends us the bill. They never see the bill. We buy their tools. We do all of the things. They work for us part-time while they're in school. So they go to class. We work their schedules around class. Then they come to work and get some on-the-job training. And then once that program is complete, they're guaranteed a full-time job with benefits on graduation, and they jump up in the pay scale just based on our negotiated rates. So then they have no college loan debt. They've never seen a bill. It's not a reimbursement. We just write the check to MCC. And it's been a really awesome partnership because it's not a one-and-done situation either. We're working with MCC and we're saying, okay, here's the changing needs that we have, and can we look at the curriculum together to make sure that this is, suiting the industry needs? And I would say that's not just Logier doing that. Sure. Like MCC's got a number of different manufacturers that they work with to just really kind of stay on point. But that our sponsorship for the trades program we've had for 11 years, and it's been wildly successful. 33% of our skilled trades workforce here in Omaha came from the sponsorship program.
Whoa!
Yeah. And so we do this signing day every spring. And last year we started bringing our former sponsorship students back. And so they come and they cheer it on, and like you kind of get goosebumps because it's like, oh my gosh, I was in your shoes. And now maybe that person is a supervisor, and now they've it's just like a literal passing of the torch, if you will.
Oh, I love that.
It's very cool.
I love signing day.
I do
it's
too.
So fun. And since you've been bringing the past sponsorship people too, it's just like, it is such a fun, like wholesome day, and like to shine a spotlight on people who like probably otherwise maybe don't get a ton of like shine. It's like so awesome. I just love it so much.
Well, and if you think about it, any job you've had a mentor of some sort. You've had somebody that took you under their wing where you've got a similar shared experience. Being a sponsorship student's got its different challenges because you're juggling school and work. And you're trying to learn it while you do it, right? And that's a different thing than just coming straight in of, I have my formal education and now I'm coming into this job. So it's kind of cool because those former students that have graduated that work for us full-time now, they're like, I get it. Yeah, that class was really hard. And here's, something that I learned that might be able to help you through that. And that juggle. It's really cool because they've really formed their own little network.
Yes.
And it's a really beneficial relationship for both sides, right? Like on the MCC side, they're constantly evolving. On our side, it's great because we now have this like pipeline that's helping us fill a gap that was going to exist for many, many years because we can't fill those jobs as fast as people are retiring from them. And they're critical jobs to our operations as well.
So this might be a loaded question. I don't know. So like, do you like, does Logier or like the other businesses, are you guys recruiting students? Are they coming to you? Like, how do students, or is that on is MCC doing that? Like, how does that, like, if I was a high school student or a parent of a high school student that was like, oh, that sounds like the right thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, where do we even begin?
Really, we take it on ourselves, or that's our perspective. If MCC helps us with that, that's wonderful. And I don't want to discount that by any means, but we spend the entire school year really talking up the trades and talking up manufacturing because there's a lot of misconceptions about manufacturing. And it's really kind of rebranding what it is versus what it isn't and talking about the opportunities that exist within that field. Very few people grow up and go, I want to be in manufacturing one day. Like, that's my dream. They're not writing their kindergarten essays about that. But it's really kind of talking about what exists in that. So we have a community outreach and engagement manager who goes out to the schools, and it's a number of folks that are on the team I'm very fortunate to lead. But they go out to the schools. We've got recruiters that are going out to the schools and to different events, and they're really talking about manufacturing as an opportunity to open doors for the future. And what does that look like? So maybe school wasn't for you. Very few people come to us and they're like, yes, this is, again, even at high school, I don't know what I want to do with my life, so I'm just going to do this.
Right.
What we do is we try to like position it in the same level as an option for post high school. You know, maybe that is the sponsorship program. Maybe it's one of our entry level jobs. Maybe it's just the industry as a whole, because the way we see it is a rising tide raises all ships. So obviously we would love to benefit from that. But if we can do our part in really changing that narrative around the industry, that might come back to us at some point, and that's us doing some good for the industry. So how do we get people involved? We're in the schools, and rather than just pushing the sponsorship program, we're talking about the industry, the opportunities. If you talk to anybody that works at Logier, they've probably had 3 or 4 different roles within the company because they were given opportunities to learn and grow. And that's not unique to just Logier. That's most manufacturing companies. So we talk about that, and we mention, hey, we have this sponsorship program. Here's a flyer. Take it home, talk to mom and dad, because that's the other component, right? It's not just, oh, here's an opportunity, let's just do it.
Right.
Your most influential relationship when you are, in high school, junior high, younger, etc., is one with your mom and dad.
Right.
If mom and dad don't buy into it, there's very few times, there's some exceptions, of course, but you're a team effort.
Right.
Right.
So it's a decision that's kind of collective of what is success? And this is an option of success, but there's a lot of educating, I would say, or conversations that we have even with moms and dads of like, okay, so this is what this is like. And instead of us just saying all of the things, we're like, you know what? Why don't you talk to so-and-so? They've been through the program. They can kind of talk to you about it, because parents just want the best for their kids.
Exactly.
And when we approach the sponsorship program so differently than other organizations, it's kind of hard to like have that standard, if you will.
Sure. Yeah. Every business and every partnership works a little bit differently.
Yeah. They just want to make sure their kids are taken care of. And I understand that.
Yeah.
Are you seeing, I guess, in the time that you've been at Logier, I know this partnership with MCC and Logier has been going on for a very long time, but in the time that you have been here, have you noticed an increase in the amount of students or just people who are interested in getting into the trades, especially now that people are retiring, or is it still kind of in flux a little bit?
I think it's definitely from the time the program started 11 years ago, that was hard. It was a lot of education about the industry. Again, like more of what it isn't than what it is. But it was really hard to get all of the parties on board. And when I say that, I mean it's mom, dad, and the student. It was really, really hard. I would say for a number of reasons, societal and otherwise, economy too, that tide is starting to turn a bit, where 4-year college maybe isn't as, pushed as this is the only way, right? Like it's a good path for a lot of people, but it's not for everybody.
Yes.
And that's okay too. And there's nothing wrong with community college. That's also a really great path for people. But I think there have been a number of factors here. So I think when the program started 11 years ago, it was still very much like 4 years the only way. That is the only way for your future. And even like looking at a 2-year school was kind of like, but then you're going to the 4-year, right? Like,
yeah, you're just starting here, right?
Right. Like that's just like a stepping stone. And I would say for so many societal reasons and otherwise, that tide is really turning where it's like, you know what? There are so many paths of success.
Right.
There's not a cookie cutter approach. So I would say from our perspective, that is a less challenging conversation because those viewpoints have evolved in such a fantastic way of success looks different for everybody. And especially here in Omaha, there are so many paths to success.
Yes.
Some involve a 4-year college, some involve a community college, some involve an employer and a community college, or just different certifications and trainings. And, success is so much more than a piece of paper.
Right.
So I would say our conversations are so much easier now because we're not having to debunk like a societal myth of success, because everyone knows success comes in so many shapes and sizes now. So I'd say there's a lot more interest, and there are a lot of other companies that do things to differentiate themselves in the marketplace too. So now our conversation is more, what can our sponsorship do for you? And then what does that look like after you have gone through your schooling, and how do we continue to support you, continue to upskill you, and how do we differentiate in that space?
Obviously, we're 3 women on this podcast,
Right.
so I'd be remiss not to ask how many women are participating? Are you seeing an increase? Like, how do you attract women to manufacturing fields which I assume, I think correctly, are mostly dominated by men?
They are. Yes, you assume correctly.
That's so wild you asked that also, because I was actually thinking in my head, I want to ask like how many, like what the ratio is like men to women in these programs.
Yeah, so I don't have the exact numbers for you, but I can tell you we have had women in this field, and I love it for so many reasons. I'm the co-chair of the board for Women in Manufacturing, the Nebraska chapter. So we're always like, come on, we need to promote more women into this industry, into these career fields. So for our sponsorship program, we have had women in it. They've been some of our most successful. We've had a number of men that have gone through it as well, but I know we want more. That's for sure. We would love to attract more women to this career field. When I've talked to a couple of them that have gone through the program, a couple of women, they're like, you know what? Anything they can do, I can do better.
How hard can it be? Boys do it.
Yeah.
That is exactly what they say. And they're like, this is a huge opportunity for me, for my family. And they're like, it doesn't matter. Like, we can do anything that they can do. And I'm like, heck yeah, you can.
Absolutely, you can.
But, for them, I always ask, like, what got you into this? Like, what was that moment for you? Was it you just didn't know what you wanted to do after high school? What was it? And for one in particular, I know she had told me that all of her electives, like in her high school, the ones she wanted to take were gone. Like, they were full. So she got thrown into a shop class.
Oh.
And she was like, I had to do it to graduate.
So she kind of fell into it, but
100% fell into it. And then it was like her shop teacher, or, her skill trades, they were doing some trade stuff. Her teacher was like, hey, you're really good at this. And like, do you see the circles that you're running around everybody else? And because of our Logier's partnerships with the schools, they're like, hey, here's this flyer. Like, this is a huge opportunity. Like, I know you don't really know what you want to do, but look at how good you are at this, like, naturally. And so school wasn't really her thing. She did it. You have to do it.
Right.
But it wasn't like the textbook stuff and all of that. That wasn't really up her alley. She didn't know what she was going to do, and she happened into it. Another one of ours, her name's Kristen. Her dad worked with his hands on a number of things. Like, he was in the skilled trades, so she'd always been exposed to it. And, as a kid, you're just, want to hang out with dad, you want to help, you want to do whatever. And she's like, yeah, like, this was always a thing for me. I've been doing this since I was, a kid. I've been doing this since I was 12 years old. Like, yeah, this
nothing
is
new.
And she's like, why wouldn't I? This is a great opportunity. I get an education, no debt, like, have at it.
Right.
And they do, like, they don't see it any differently. And I would say the men that are in the program, the employees that we have in the plant, they don't look at it at all in a, like, oh, it's not a gender club, that's for sure. Historically, manufacturing has been very male skewed, but we're starting to turn that tide, and I think it's really awesome. And it really starts at the schools. But we do, I will say, Women in Manufacturing and MCC have partnered together as well, because one of the biggest initiatives that we have is trying to turn that tide for that younger generation and show them what they're capable of. So my favorite event that Women in Manufacturing and MCC partner on is we bring in high school girls, and they either have indicated to their counselor or their advisors in high school, hey, I'm interested in trades, or they say, I don't know really what I want to do. They're juniors and seniors. We bring them in. We talk to them about women in manufacturing and about how it's not a girls' club either. Like, we have plenty of men and women in manufacturing. It's just It's a national organization to promote and inspire women into career fields in manufacturing. And that's not always skilled trades. Could be a job like mine, could be accounting, could be a number of things, but just the opportunities that exist and kind of showcase what that could look like for them. Because it's not an industry you go, yes, ever since kindergarten, I wanted to be in manufacturing. So the event.
I wanted to weld these shells. I
Exactly.
knew it was calling
That
me.
has been the dream.
Yes. So this event that we do, we bring these gals in, we talk to them about women in manufacturing. There's industry partners there too. But then we take them to the lab. Like we take them into the lab and then we have a hands-on activity. And all of a sudden there's this light bulb that goes off and they're pseudo, they're on a field trip for school.
Right.
They have to participate.
Right.
I'm sure there's some points there from a grading perspective, let's be on your best behavior. I don't know what the teachers do for that, but I can only assume there are some expectations that are articulated ahead of time. Not my business, but they go into this lab and you can tell from the looks on their face, they're high school girls. You can tell, some of them are yeah, okay, this sounds fun. I'm open-minded, let's learn. And others are oh my God, when is this? I came for the lunch. When is this going to be over? For real, how can I do the least amount? This is not what I had on my bingo card today. And so you can it's really fun. It's my favorite thing to watch because MCC has this fantastic instructor, Ann Krause. And she leads this, and she can read a room too. She can read these girls' faces, and she was in those shoes at one point in her life. And she's like, "Come on, let's go, you
in the back."
She's like, "Put your gloves on. Let's go. What do you want to cut out of metal today?" And it's like, I don't want to do anything. And she's like, "Yeah, you do. Let's go. Come on. It's gonna be great. You've got this." And she sits there with them. And last year they got to cut out any shape they wanted out of metal, and then they got to take it with them.
That's fun. I want to go do that.
Yeah.
I know. It was so cool.
Put us on your list for next year.
Yeah.
Right?
We blend in with the high school students.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure.
totally
So then we
look
bring them
17.
all back into this room, and it's all of this energy, which is so infectious and awesome and just makes you feel just so good about yourself. Because all of a sudden, they've been presented with an industry, a career path that would have never crossed their mind. And there's a lot to be said, I think, for doing versus speaking.
Yes.
You could sit in a room and you're a 16, 17-year-old boy or girl.
It's
and
easy
it's
to space out.
Okay, that's cool, right?
Right.
PowerPoint, slideshow. But then when it's here, let's do it. Come on.
Come on up.
What do you want to do? See? Oh my God, you can do that. Did you see how you were capable of doing that with little to no training at all? You literally walked in here and within 30 minutes, you were building something with your hands. You were doing something. And there's a plethora of career options for you in that field. If you liked it, we've got more of that. And you know what? There's a million companies that are willing to invest in you if you are interested. And so then they walk out with, I call it the light bulb of opportunity.
What a rush.
Yeah.
This
So
whole door that's been opened.
Exactly. So I have a dual role. I'm the co-chair of the board for Women in Manufacturing, but I also have a vested interest because, of my role at Logier. But again, like I said, if they walk out and all of a sudden an entire door has opened for them that was never open for them before because just sheer awareness of the industry, what it is versus what it isn't, we've done our job. And if they come to Logier, awesome. If they go down the street to another manufacturer, great. We just unlocked an opportunity for the manufacturing industry, and a rising tide truly does raise all ships.
Yeah. I say all the time that you don't know what you don't know.
Correct.
Even, outside of manufacturing, for me, I started in marketing at a hospital. And I'm sure for you too, it's just I didn't think about the fact that it's once you thought about it, it's of course hospitals market and have a marketing team. But it's as a high schooler, it's I wasn't thinking about that. I was those things just appear. And same for in manufacturing, it's you might get in on the ground floor and work your way up and be actually, I also have these other aspirations to do other things.
Yeah.
And have this firsthand knowledge in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible to once, because it's you have the standard a nurse, a teacher, a doctor, or whatever.
Absolutely.
Those are the things that everyone's oh, what are you gonna do? And it's
Yeah.
I feel everyone pretty much has one of those answers, unless and maybe in Nebraska, it's, maybe farming or ranch. They like have those ideas of exactly what they're going to do. But I can think of, Catherine, maybe I assume your experience is the same. Manufacturing jobs were like not even talked about.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They're not.
Really, a 2-year school wasn't even talked about.
Correct.
I graduated in 2009 from high school and never.
I graduated earlier than that. It wasn't talked about then.
An unspecified date.
That's correct.
Yeah.
An unspecified date.
Yeah, but it's like I can think of people that I went to high school with that. Yeah, it's like I knew that 4 years of college was not for them, and they knew
Same.
that too. But like,
Yes.
but that was like what you did. It's
Social pressure.
It's like, what do you mean you're not going to
Yeah.
school? And for sure, it's like, oh, you're going to the community college. It's like, it's because you can't hack it at the 4-year school.
Yeah, or
which is
you
like,
didn't make it in.
Yes.
yeah, which is like,
But like, when are you doing the 4-year?
right. Like, I guess you can get a couple of your gen eds, like work on that math, get the math credit at the community
It'll be
college.
so much easier there.
And then you can move into the 4-year.
But I mean, if you talk to the folks that are going through any program with, maybe one of MCC's partner companies like Logier, or even anybody that's going to MCC, and you say, hey, do you have a job, or are you like sponsored by a company or organization? And you ask them what they're making an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Wild.
You can make such a good living without the social pressures and the debt that you have to deal with. And like I said, there is nothing against 4-year college whatsoever.
No.
Everyone's path to success is different. And for a lot of people, that's the way, right? Like, I want any doctor I go to make sure, you definitely had all of the education, all of the things.
You're certified.
But if you're saying, like, let's say you have an HVAC issue in your house, you want your air conditioning to work again. I truly don't care about your academic credentials. And I care that you're trained and you have all of the things that you need to fix my problem. Well, and if you think about how people learn too, right? Like maybe you learned better with a textbook and taking notes. But maybe I learned better by doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big difference. And I think it's just a matter of like celebrating that and recognizing differences don't mean there's a hierarchy of success either.
Yeah. I just am like, I think back and I'm like, I wish the perception was different when I was in school, because I know so many people that I went to school with who would have been
Absolutely.
so happy. And not that they're not happy and successful now, of course.
It probably just took a little bit longer to find that success because you have to buck the social norms.
But then also, to circle back to this sponsorship program, that is also just the added bonus of it's almost no stakes. It's like, I can get this education. I'm not paying for it. If I screw this up, or not screw it up, but even if it's like,
If
I
you
try
decide
this,
maybe one day it's not my forever
right. Like
path.
you didn't get yourself into a bunch of debt
Yeah.
to do it. And you have a skill that is transferable that you can use in other industries.
And probably learned other skills that can apply to other things
Yeah.
along the way, even in there.
And we work with a lot of other companies because they will come to us and be like, how are you doing this? And like, but what if they leave? And we're like, what if they leave?
Yeah.
Like, we've invested in them, and guess what? They're going to go out and do great things, probably in our community. We've invested in the future of them, the future of our industry, the future of our community. But what if they stay?
Yeah.
And that would be great too. And so we don't see it as, we have a lot of folks that'll ask us like, well, aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid that they're going to leave and go to another place? And we're like, no, we want the best for them. And they're learning from us. We're learning from them too. Like it's a great relationship, but we're not concerned. We want to help better the industry and better our community as well.
And if you're just focusing on like all the what ifs, you could drive yourself nuts.
But I think that's a common concern when you're thinking about it from an employer perspective is, okay, so we're investing our time, we're investing our resources, and, we're investing some of our people on the job to help with the on-the-job training. Like, what if it doesn't work? And we're like, but what if it did? does, and it has.
Yeah, the other side of the coin is that it works great.
Right.
So
It's a normal question, though,
Yeah.
for sure.
I also assume too, like again, these are all businesses within the community. Okay, so they go to a different spot and they, work there for a while. And then, the potential is always there for a different job at
Absolutely.
Logier or wherever to open back up. And they're like, oh, well,
Yeah.
my current role doesn't have this.
And that happens a lot.
And they come back. It's like,
It happens a lot. I mean, it's really a beautiful thing. You have cross-functional knowledge now. You're learning different areas of the business. You have a more solid understanding of how things work. You're able to be a better leader because of that. And your collective experience lets you do your day-to-day so much better.
yeah. And I know that everyone talks about, brain drain and keeping everyone in Nebraska. It's like ultimately, if we are all working together, and yeah, it's like they got their education through this sponsorship with Logier, and if they go somewhere else, but it's still within our community, it's like, okay, well, I'm still okay with that. It's like
Absolutely.
they're still here, they're still contributing to our community to make sure that Nebraska stays, going and thriving and all of those things. Yeah, of course, I'm not a business owner and I'm not the one investing my money. But like I assume it from the outside perspective, it just seems like, yeah, the pros outweigh the cons.
Absolutely. And obviously, we care so much about our employees and the students that come through this program. And we want the best for them. But a rising tide raises all ships from an industry, community, and employer perspective.
Yeah. Well, that was very informative. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us about
Yes.
this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, this was a great chat, and I feel like I learned a lot.
I did too.
I thought I knew a lot about not only just our partnership, but just manufacturing in general. But yeah, and we need to get more women in there.
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
All are welcome.
Well, and if you think about it too, Rosie the Riveter, way back in the day, like manufacturing was the very first advertising campaign in America, recruiting women to jobs in manufacturing while the men were away at war. And that was right down the road from us here in Omaha.
Yeah.
So
All right.
all circles back.
Bring Rosie
Women
back.
run the world.
Yep.
We do. All right. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Want to be a part of the MCC sponsorship for the trades program? Give us a call at 531-622-2000. MCC Made with Emma Frazier, Catherine Riggs, and Tim Clark. Produced by Emma Frazier. Executive produced by Nanette Rodriguez. Production support by Herdat. Got a question for us? Email mccmade@mccneb.edu, and your question may be answered on a future podcast.